Hey guys, in this video we'll be introducing ourselves to CSS. Before we proceed, if you don't have the basic knowledge about HTML, you'll find it a little bit difficult to understand CSS. So I would like you to go back to the previous video where we talk about HTML from scratch. But if you have the basic knowledge of HTML, then you are good to go. So let's proceed. First, I'd like to introduce CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. CSS is the language for describing the presentation of web pages. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen. We have the external style sheets that are stored in CSS files, which is .css extension. So we have different ways of adding CSS to our HTML element. The number one is the inline CSS. By using the style attribute inside the HTML element. We have the internal CSS, which is by using a style element in the head section of the HTML page. We have the external CSS by using a link element to add an external CSS file into the HTML page, into your web page. Then we have the CSS syntax. So this is the basic syntax of the CSS. Actually, this is an internal style CSS. It's an internal way of adding CSS, where the P is a selector in CSS. Actually, it provides the HTML element you want to style, because without the HTML element, you can't style anything. While the color is a property and red is the property value. And the text align is a property as well, and center is the property value, which that we want to center a text to be centered, aligned. And we have the one to color the text red. So we have the CSS selectors. The CSS selectors, we have three types of CSS selectors, or more than three types as well. But in this video, we'll be focusing on the three types which are listed there: the element selector, the ID selector, the class selector. The element selector selects HTML element based on the element name. For instance, P can be paragraph. Here, all the P elements on the page will be centered, aligned with a red text color. It's a red text color. The ID selector. The ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. To select an element with a specific ID, we write a hashtag character followed by the ID of the element. For instance, if we give our HTML element an ID of container, we select that in our CSS while using hashtag container. And we can set the property of text align and the value center, color red as well. Likewise, the class selector. The class selector selects HTML element with a specific class attribute. To select element with a specific class, write a period character followed by the class name. For instance, if we give our HTML element a class of menu, the class is equals to menu. So we can select that by using the full stop character dot menu, and you can give it the value, the property, text align center, color red. We'll be looking at this in full details in this video where we create our little project. The CSS margin. The CSS margin property are used to create space around elements outside of any defined borders. With CSS, you have full control over the margins. There are properties for setting the margin for each of an element, like the top margin, the margin right, the margin bottom, and margin left. Likewise, the padding. The CSS padding properties are used to generate space around the element's content inside of any defined borders. With CSS, you have full control over the padding. There are properties for setting the padding for each of an element, like the likewise the margin. We have the padding top, the top padding, the right padding, the bottom padding, and the left padding. So we'll look at this in full details. Let's get started. In the previous video, we created an index.html where we have our HTML project. So now we'll be adding style to the HTML project we have earlier on. Let me align everything to match up together. Let me increase the font size of the bracket for better view, so you can be able to view it properly. So in the last video where we talk about HTML, we created a web page like this. We created a web page like this without CSS, just HTML page, HTML based website. So now we'll be adding CSS to this. So let me just edit some little things there. I'll get rid of the about and the services and the table as well with the image and video. I will get rid of all of them. Okay, now we'll first of all look on how to add style to our HTML element, which we'll be looking the 3 ways of adding styles. But first, let's start with the inline CSS. So for instance, I can have something like a paragraph tag with the context of my first website with CSS. My first website with CSS. With this, how to add CSS to this paragraph tag, the inline CSS, we start with style. Style with you can have something like the font size. Let me increase the font size. Let me make it 300 pixels. My first website. I can have another content like the paragraph tag again, with the content welcome to my first website. Welcome to my first home page website with CSS. without style it looks like this, but I can add the inline. While adding the inline style, I can still give it something like style. Let me increase the font size. Now let me make it 15 pixels. Okay, so this is how to add the inline style. You can have more than one property. You can still have something like, by giving a semicolon, having something like color. Let me just try alias blue. Alias blue. Not that dark. Let me give it red. Okay, we have different ways of adding colors to in CSS. We have the color name and color code. I can have something like hashtag FFF, which is the color code that stands for white. You might not see anything there, but still the content is still there, but it's just white color. And we can have something like hashtag 333, which is black. But in this, I'll get rid of the color. Okay, let's look on how to add CSS while using the internal CSS. So we start in the head section after the title. We add style with a type of text/CSS with a closing bracket and a closing style as well, and a closing style. So in this, I will have a div. I will have a div here with an ID of top bar. I'll make all my content go inside the div. It makes no changes because I haven't added any style to it. But let's add the internal style to our top bar, which we just created. Top bar. So this means all the paragraph tag here goes inside this div with an ID of top bar. So I will select this ID while using hashtag to select ID top bar. So I will give it the value here. I give it like a background color black. Color black. The content is still there. I can give it something like a color to change, so we can be able to see the text there. Color white with the text align center. Okay. Let me add a padding to the top. Padding top. Let me just give it something like 5 pixels. The padding top is okay. Let me have a list item which we have earlier on inside the div. We have a URL to create a list. URL and we have the list item to create an unordered list. So first, okay, let me have home, about, services, contact us. Here's the list item. Okay, we add some stars to the list items as well. So first, I will have the UL, which is the area selector to select my UL there. UL, I can give it let's first of all get rid of the bulletin there. Why giving it a list style type, list style type, none. To get rid of the bulletin, I can add something like a margin to make it the margin 0 pick, and padding as well 0. Let me take a look. Okay, and let me have a blue the background color. I'm using the color code this time of 33333. Okay. Now the one I'm having an issue that I want our list item to display horizontally instead of the vertical type it is now. So I can quickly do this by using li, which is the list, to float left. Okay, our list is still there. It's just of the color. So let me quickly add something, the color overflow here. Overflow. I'm having the value of hidden to make it visible for us to see. Okay. It's not looking pretty good now. Let's add some stars to the link itself. I'm gonna make this a link. I'm gonna add a link to this so it will be clickable. With an href. Same thing here. Same thing here. Okay, there are now links now that are clickable. There are now links. Okay, now let me style the links there while using the li, which is the list item, which is the list selector, li. So I want to select the links there, which is the href of about, home, services, contact us. So I have something like a to select the a attribute. So now I'm having the display of block so they can spread out. Display block. Having a color of white to it, so you can be able to see them. Okay. So I'm having a font weight there to make it bold. A font weight bold. I'm having a text align center. I'm having a padding 16 pixels there. I'm having a text decoration. I want to remove the underline part of it. Text decoration none, in order to remove the underline under the links. Okay. This text block is making it to display the color white. To add color white to it, the font weight bold is making it bold. If I take this off, it's making it look a little bit light. If I add that back and save and reload, it makes it look bold. The text align makes it to align center instead of the way it was before. Yeah, it's aligned center. Okay, the paddles make it to spread out the pattern. And the text decoration none. Remove the underline under the links. If I take this off, we have underlines there. So I'm having text decoration there to remove the underline. Okay, let's move on. I think it's looking good now. Okay, you can click on this. But one more problem is that, one more issue is that while click, I'm not really seeing something that shows that I'm about to click. Apart from the hand symbols there, I'm not really seeing anything else. So let's quickly make changes to that. While using the LIA over. Over means when the cursor hovers on the links items. The links. So I'm having a background color. Just the background color to read. Background color of black. So I can be able to see why I hover on it. You can see now. As I'm moving, it changes the background color there to make it black. To make it black. So this is where we are stopping in this video. So far, we look at how to add style to our HTML content. Why using the inline CSS way of adding style, the internal. Later on in this video, we'll be looking at how to add an external styles to our HTML content. So this is where we'll be stopping in this video. For now, this will be stopping in this video. And then later on, we'll move on how to add some extra CSS features to our website while creating a full website. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Drop it in the comment section. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you in the next video. Hey guys.